Fashions of 1934 is a 1934 American pre-code musical comedy film directed by William Dietler with musical numbers created and directed by Busby Berkeley. The screenplay by F. Hugh Herbert and Carl Erickson was based on the story The Fashion Plate by Harry Collins and Warren Duff. The film stars William Powell, Bette Davis, Hugh Herbert and Frank McHugh, and has songs by Sammy Fain and Irving Cahill. Plot: when the Manhattan investment firm of Sherwood Nash goes broke, he joins forces with his partner Snap and fashion designer Lynn Mason to provide discount shops with cheap copies of Paris couture dresses. Lynn discovers that top designer Oscar Baroque gets his inspiration from old costume books, and she begins to create designs the same way, signing each one with the name of an established designer. Sherwood realizes Baroque's companion, the alleged Grand Duchess Alex, is really Mabel Maguire, his old friend from Hoboken, New Jersey, and threatens to reveal her identity unless she convinces Baroque to design the costumes of a musical revue in which she will star. Baroque buys a supply of ostrich feathers from Sherwood's crony Joe Ward and starts a fashion rage. Sherwood then opens Maison Elegance, a new Paris fashion house that's a great success until Baroque discovers Lynn is forging his sketches. He has him arrested, but Sherwood convinces the police to give him time to straighten out the situation. He crashes Baroque and Alex's wedding and promises to humiliate the designer by publicly revealing who his bride really is unless Baroque withdraws the charges. The designer agrees and purchases Maison Elegance from Sherwood, who assures Lynn he'll never get involved in another illegal activity if she returns to America with him. Cast: William Powell as Sherwood Nash, Bette Davis as Lynn Mason, Frank McHugh as Snap, Reginald Owen as Oscar Baroque, Valerie Teasdale as Grand Duchess Alex, Hugh Herbert as Joe Ward, Henry O'Neill as Duryea, Philip Reed as Jimmy Blake, Gordon Westcott as Harry Brent, Dorothy Burgess as Glenda, Etienne Girardot as Glass, William Burris as Feldman, Nella Walker as Mrs. Van Tuyl, Spencer Charters as Man Removing Telephone, Harry Beresford as Paris Bookseller. Cast notes: Arthur Treacher, appearing in his fourth Hollywood film, played his first part as a butler, a role he was to play many times in his long career. Production: with this film, Warner Brothers. Chief Jack L. Warner tried to change Bette Davis's screen persona by putting her in a platinum blonde wig and false eyelashes and dressing her in glamorous costumes. The actress, who had been trying to convince the studio head to loan her to RKO so she could portray slatternly waitress Mildred Rogers in Of Human Bondage, was appalled at the transformation, complaining they were trying to turn her into Greta Garbo. In an interview with photoplay editor Catherine Doherty, she complained, "I can't get out of these awful ruts. They just won't take me seriously. Look at me in this picture, all done up like a third-rate imitation of the MGM glamour queens. That isn't me. I'll never be a clothes horse or romantic symbol." To Gerald Clark of Time she lamented, "I looked like somebody dressed up in mother's clothes. But it was a great break because I learned from the experience. I never let them do that to me again, ever." Working titles for the film, which was filmed at Warner Brothers Burbank Studios in 1933, were King of Fashion and Fashion Follies of 1934. Warner's listed writers Gene Markey and Catherine Scola as having adapted the original story that was the basis of the film, but according to the Screenwriters Guild they had nothing to do with the film. Songs: the film's musical numbers included "Spin a Little Web of Dreams" and "Broken Melody" by Sammy Fain and Irving Cahill, and "Mon Nom" by Maurice Evane, Albert Willamette, and Jacques Charles. Harry Warren wrote the untitled theme that accompanies the fashion show. Critical reception: the New York Times described it as a brisk show, and added, "The story is lively, the gowns are interesting, and the Busby Berkeley spectacles with Hollywood dancing girls are impressive." William Dietler, that expert director who has been responsible for several imaginative pictures, does well by this particular production. Variety called it a bit far-fetched and inconsistent, but it has color, flash, class, girls and plenty of clothes.